It's 7:23. Do you know where Giancarlo Stanton is? We're going to talk about the Big G mystery. We're going to talk about Anthony Volpe's bat speed. And unfortunately, we're going to talk about Jasson Dominguez's defense off to a shaky start. All that and more next. This is Pinstripe Territory.
Just wanted to talk, that's all.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. How are you? We've got a lot of voicemails tonight. I probably should have labeled this as a voicemail show because we've got several of them. There's a bunch of topics, though, that I feel compelled to talk about tonight, not the least of which is Giancarlo Stanton, a mystery that keeps intensifying day after day. We're going to talk a little bit about Jasson Dominguez's early struggles, why it's a little bit too early to make any judgments, but it's not really too early to be concerned. Also, Anthony Volpe is showing signs that he is swinging the bat much more like the guy we saw in the postseason than the guy who struggled for much of the regular season. And also, worth noting that there is a rumor out there, which I can't debunk, that the Yankees and Mets could be talking Marcus Stroman for Brett Baty. So we're going to talk about that. We got a voicemail on it. I don't buy it, but it makes more sense than it did a month ago. But first, we have got to talk about Big G, Giancarlo Stanton. I'm sure you've heard by now that Big G is no longer with the Yankees in Tampa. He has retreated from the team, and Aaron Boone basically said yesterday that it's a personal matter. And if Giancarlo Stanton wants to talk about it, he can. Now, I could sit here and speculate all night. We have no idea what that means. Could he be getting a second opinion on his elbows? Sure. Could he be serving jury duty? Maybe he feels it's a civic obligation because he's not doing much in Tampa? Maybe. Could it be a family emergency? We have no idea. Speculating wildly doesn't help anybody, but I will say that it's looking more and more like this DH spot is going to be wide open this spring. Now, Ben Rice obviously going to get a big look. He came up and did some damage last year, kind of retreated after the league figured him out a little bit, did have a 3-home-run game, good left-handed swing. We'll see what adjustments he's made, but he's going to get a real shot to open, the MLB season as the Yankees' primary DH. Now, you're not going to have him be the primary DH if he's also the backup catcher, and he's been catching in spring training. So that opens up a potential roster spot for somebody like Jesus Rodriguez, for Alex Wilson, for Escara, who hit a monster home run today. It's going to be interesting to see how this shakes out. Maybe Everson Pereira can break camp with the team, although he didn't do a lot against sliders the first time he was in the major leagues. But right-handed bat, has a little bit of power. You got to believe that there's a lot of guys in camp right now that are saying, "This is my chance. This is my chance to break camp with the squad." I like a little bit of competition in spring training. And DH is a great spot to have competition in because anybody who can hit, as long as they're hitting, can take that spot. Now, the Yankees still don't have a third baseman. That's another competition. But right now, you have to say that the DH spot is wide open. And I'm interested to see how that shakes out. It could also open up for Jasson Dominguez a spot at DH rather than in the outfield. Because if we're being honest with each other, we have to admit that his defense does not look a whole lot better in the spring of 2025 than it did in the fall of 2024. I've watched 2 games. He's screwed up 2 plays. And now this is obviously what spring training is for. Okay? You get the kinks out of the way. But he does not look like somebody who's been working in left field all winter. If this continues to be a problem, I'd make the case that he either needs to move back to center field or he needs to take over as the DH. Because right now it is looking bad. It's looking shaky. And for those of you who may follow baseball casually and might not maybe understand the nuances of, how this is fitting together, you might say, well, center field is more tough than corner outfield, right? It's a more important position. Got to be strong up the middle. Well, Jasson came up as a center fielder. He was a natural center fielder. And certainly you have to cover more ground in center field because you have to cover both gaps. But the angles are a little bit different. The ball can slice, and Yankee Stadium is a notoriously difficult left field. It's a notoriously difficult sun field. So it can be extremely difficult on even the best outfielders. So putting a guy out there who's already shaky, whose confidence is a little bit banged up, not sure it's the best solution. Now, maybe this will be a non-issue. Maybe over the next several weeks, he'll play great out there and feel comfortable. But right now, having messed up a couple of games, I guarantee he's feeling yippy, right? He's feeling the yips a little bit. So this is something we got to keep our eye on. I consider myself much more of a glass half full person than a glass half empty person, but even I am not feeling too optimistic right now. He just doesn't look comfortable out there. His at-bats have been patient. I think he's going to hit. The bat speed is there. He looks like a professional hitter. Even from the right side, he's looked good. We saw that home run off of Rodon. It was early on, but still. Where I sit right now, he's going to absolutely kill you in left field. Absolutely kill the Yankees out there. So hopefully he can bring it together, but if he doesn't, DH could be a spot that he slides into, or at some point you look at making the swap, putting him in center field, putting Bellinger in left. But, we'll see what this Stanton mystery unravels as. If it turns out that Stanton's going to be out for the year, I say just go ahead and put Jasson at DH. Just go ahead, because Stanton's going to miss a year this late into his career. He might never return, right? And now you've got a young guy who could be an offensive force. Just say, focus on that, right? Focus on that. Or put Judge at DH, keep his bat, ensure his bat's going to be in the lineup unless he, gets hit by a pitch or something, or pulls a hamstring run on the bases. Not going to run into any outfield walls as the DH. That's something the Yankees would probably consider. And then you move the Martian to right field where it's not as much ground to cover. And I think he might adapt to that a little bit better. It's also not as difficult of a sun field. But right now, he looks like he's going to kill the Yankees in left field. And for a team that's very strong on defense in a lot of other areas, that's tough. And left field is a spot that can absolutely kill you if you're not strong there defensively because there's so much space behind the outfielder. If it gets by you in left field, it could be a triple, inside the park home run. It could clear the bases. We saw that last year. He had some mistakes that cost the Yankees some runs. So something to keep an eye on. I'm not panicking yet, but you're not wrong to be concerned a little bit. Let's talk about Anthony Volpe, a little glass half full. His bat speed is up 3 miles an hour. I mentioned the other day that he looks stronger. We've got some hard data now that his bat speed is a few miles an hour faster than it was at this time last year. Last year, spring training, coming out of spring training, it's about 69 miles an hour. Nice. This year, averaging over 72. And it's gotten up to almost 75 miles an hour, which is excellent. Last year in the playoffs, you might ask, averaging 72. Now, does that make a lot of sense? It was faster in the playoffs than it was during the regular season. I thought he was tired. Well, maybe he made a mechanical adjustment. Whatever he's done to increase his bat speed, it has stuck through the winter. So that's good. And the added strength can only help. But he's probably made some small mechanical tweaks as well, and I'm here for it. Recently, during those times when I'm missing baseball and I got some downtime, I've been watching a lot of highlights, and I've been watching highlights of Volpe's hits from the postseason. And he was having the types of at-bats that I want to see him have. Hard line drives, scalding the baseball, hitting it back through the box, taking it to right field. Yeah, he hit the grand slam in the World Series, but I don't think he was swinging for power for much of the postseason. He was trying to get on base. He was trying to move runners. He was trying to take what the pitcher gave him and hit the ball hard somewhere. So I was listening to Barry Bonds talk the other day, and he was talking about how when he first got to San Francisco, AT&T Park, he was worried about being able to hit the ball over the right field wall because it's this big high wall, 309 feet, but you got the wind coming in off the water. And his dad gave him some great advice. Bobby Bonds, former Yankee. He said, don't try to hit the ball over the wall. Try to hit the ball through the wall. And it'll go over the wall because you'll have backspin. So let's hope that Anthony Volpe takes that hard hitting approach and not necessarily the loopy, hit the ball in the air, launch angle approach. Aaron Boone said that over the last year or so, Volpe's offense has been trailing his defense a little bit. He's a good defender. I know some people hold every mistake against him. I think he's a good defender, and I think he will be a good major league hitter in time. I don't think he's there yet, but this could be the year. This is year 3. The training wheels are off. His first year, I'm going to cut him some slack. He barely played in the minor leagues. He rocketed up the minor league system. Last year, he made some adjustments, and he showed improvement. But now he is the shortstop for the defending American League champions. Time for a big year. All right, let's talk a little bit about a trade rumor that's been circulating. I got Baty spelled wrong in the lower third. I'm going to fix that right now. Or Baty, rather. So we got a quick call. Let me play this call for you.
So MLB Scoops on Twitter has a rumor that the Yankees will trade Marcus Stroman for Brett Baty. Do you think this is true?
Oh, man, I have trouble believing all these Scoops accounts, right? I mean, you never know who these people are. It could be some kid in his basement, or it could be somebody who works in a front office. Occasionally, they do get things right, but you just never know. If someone doesn't have the guts to put their reputation on the line and put themselves out there, it's hard to take it seriously. I will say this, though. The trade might make a little bit more sense than it did, a couple of months ago. The Mets have had some injuries in the rotation. Manaea is down. Montas is down. For a team that's trying to compete, to open up the season with thin pitching is kind of an issue. AJ Przinsky was on FT the other day, and he said something that I think of every year. He said, you can't win the division in April, but you can lose it. And if you don't have pitching out of the gate, I tell you what, that can be tough on your squad. Now, Stroman is a guy who should be pretty strong. He was strong to start the season last year. I think he'll be strong to start the season this year. He was strong to start the year a couple years ago. Cold weather, guys who throw sinkers and lots of movement, it's hard for the hitter to square it up, can be very uncomfortable. He's a good first half pitcher. It would make sense for the Mets to bring in this guy, especially when you think about Steve Cohen, who doesn't let money be an issue, right? When it's time to spend, he'll spend. He doesn't mind taking a loss here and there. I mean, how much money did he give to, Verlander and Max Scherzer, who, he then had to pay down their deals and include prospects when he traded them away. He doesn't care. I think this deal could happen. Now, let's take a look at Brett Baty. Now, a couple things I like about him. One, he's a big kid. He's 6'2", 210. He's 25 years old. He's got a good swing, former first-round draft pick, 12th overall. He was a big prospect. And we know that Brian Cashman likes to trade for guys who were once big-time prospects. Rougned Odor, so on and so forth. I don't know that the Mets would deal him, but if the Yankees wanted to unload Stroman and the Mets were willing to give him up, I think I would pull the trigger on this deal. He doesn't make a lot of money, so if it doesn't work out, you just go in another direction. He's got some pop. I mean, I'm going to take a look at one of his home run videos. Now, obviously, we get hit with highlight stuff every once in a while, so I'll pause it. This is a pitch low and away, breaking ball. He goes down and gets it and hooks it. Now, look at that follow-through. Who does that remind you of? Let's watch that again. I'm going to give you another look at it. How about Greg Bird? He has a Greg Bird type swing. That swing plays very well in Yankee Stadium. Take a look again. And this was a nuke, too. Pitcher knew it was gone. This is in Tampa. R.I.P. the Trop. Hits it over the damn bleachers. If they can make this happen, I would absolutely make that deal. But again, you never know if these accounts like MLB Scoops are real or just full of it. Plus, number 22 is available again. So he would have gotten basically a free, was it Range Rover or whatever, from Soto. All right, so you guys know that this is a Yankees podcast, and Foul Territory is our parent podcast, I guess. We're part of the Foul Territory Network. By the way, go ahead and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. I've been told to remind you guys of that. But Foul Territory is going to be live at Yankees Camp tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I am not sure who we're going to be able to talk to yet. It's usually like a last-minute thing, but we were asked to put in like some requests for guys. I requested Luke Weaver because I think he's funny. I requested Devin Williams because I want to hear about the Beard story and how that whole situation went down. I want to know how that conversation with Cashman went down. Can't guarantee these guys will be on, but we requested them. But we're going to have somebody interesting to talk to for sure. So tune into that on the Foul Territory channel. Foul Territory. Screwed the way I said that up. All right, so we've got a quick ad from the guys at Foul Territory, and then I'm back with, 5 voicemails to finish off the night. So let's get to the word from Scotty Braun about Arena Club.
Oh, Todd Father. Remember the good old days when we would have the cards in the binders, but then they'd get all messed up and we're trying to sell online and it's just real clunky? They really actually weren't the good old days, were they?
No, they were definitely not, but now there's a better way. The Arena Club has been dominant with this. You get to trade your cards, you could sell them, but the best part for me is getting them graded. I love everything about that, this new age of getting cards graded. You could display them on your online showroom, your mobile device. It's the coolest thing in the world.
Whether you're buying, selling, trading, or displaying, Arena Club is the all-in-one trading card platform. You have to sign up for an account at arenaclub.com/foul. Just like Todd Father mentioned, there's a process that combines AI and human grading to get the job done. Right now, 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul. Use code FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/foul. Code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase.
May I have your attention, please?
All right, so we got some more voicemails here. We haven't heard from Chain, who sounds like Hulk Hogan, in a while. So let's go ahead and play Chain's voicemail.
Hey, Derek, Chain. I was hoping maybe you could clear a couple of things up for me. I'm hearing, like, for one thing, I'd like to know what this Stanton guy did. I mean, did he hurt himself opening the door to the locker room? I mean, or did he even show up to spring training?
He showed up.
How do you show up hurt for spring training and not have the fans know? I know that we kind of disagree on him. I think he's been not much more than a skate, being hurt all the time, but maybe you could clarify just how did he hurt himself? And then the other thing that I'm hearing is that Judge and this relief pitcher Williams don't like each other. Now, we've heard about feuds on the Yankees forever, and they turned out really not to be true. Like we always heard that Mantle and Maris didn't get along, which wasn't true. They roomed together, and they were good friends. We always heard that Garrick and Ruth didn't get along, and they did. It wasn't like it was a feud. There was things that they maybe disagreed on. But anyway, maybe you can clear a couple of those things up for me. If you get the time, if you think about it, I'd kind of like to know because I feel like I'm getting some bad information out here. Keep up the good work, my friend. Bye.
I try and stay pretty up to date on Yankees news, and I have seen nothing about an Aaron Judge versus Devin Williams argument. I know that there was some talk about Devin Williams and Aaron Judge both chiming in, but in opposite sides of the spectrum on the facial hair stuff. But I haven't seen anything about any kind of feud between those guys. So sorry I can't enlighten you further, but I think it's just smoke.
What's going on, Derek? Oh, man, I'm calling about your boy, maybe your favorite young Yankee on the team, Dominguez, the Martian. Dude, he's going to be playing a big role for the team this year, whether it's hitting or in the field. And I'm just kind of getting more and more nervous about the guy, at least in the field. He looks awful. I just don't understand how he could still have all off season, knowing they didn't play him a single game in the playoffs because his fielding was just terrible at the end of last year. The dude looks absolutely lost in left field. Early on in spring training, dude looks lost still in left field. How are you not putting in insane amounts of work just catching fly balls? It just looks a little bit scary. Every time he's out there, we're all probably going to be holding our breath. Every routine fly ball that's hit to him where he only has to move a step either way is not routine for this guy. It's scary. These are plays most, in my opinion anyway, most average high school players would be catching.
I appreciate the call. We're going to cut you off at 1:15. There was an extra minute, but I appreciate the call. Always good takes. It's been bad. I mean, I love the kid. I think he's going to be an unbelievable offensive force. So far, it does not look good in left field, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm concerned.
Hey, what's going on? Pinstripe territory.
Same thing. Let's see here.
Hey, Derek, the Faye situation. I have an opinion on the facial hair thing. Listen, I'm one of those men of a certain age, shall we say. One of my favorite shows. Anyways, I'm against the facial hair policy, and I really am for the team first, facial hair, and whatever doodads you want to put on your uniform second. But I think it's the way that Hal handled it. He talked to former players, all that, and decided it was time for a change. After listening to all the perspectives, I would say I do agree with him. So I was strongly against it, but I think it's ultimately how you handle the situation. I think Hal did a great job. And ultimately, does it make Yankees a better team? They can go out and get players, and a beard is a big deal to them. I mean, I think that's the most important thing, winning. But at the same time, maybe you should increase your payroll and actually get a decent hitter. So a little contradictory there, Hal.
Appreciate it. So a couple of responses. One, I'm glad you're coming around to the facial hair rule. I think he had a point when he said if it prevents you from getting one player that could help the team win, it's a stupid rule. It's got to go. I'm an advocate of mental health. You know, I don't want people that don't feel comfortable. You know, I mean, I used to work at this hedge fund that shall remain nameless, and I had to put on a suit and a tie every single morning and carry around a BlackBerry. This is back in the day, it tells you when it was, and be all connected all the time. Anyone who knows me can tell you that is not me. I mean, I will wear the same T-shirt every single day. Like, I'm just, I'm a creature of the studio. I like being at home. I'm not a hedge fund guy. I'm not a suit and tie guy. But I was finding my way in the world. I was like, 25 years old or something like that. Didn't work out. I didn't last very long. And a lot of it was I just felt uncomfortable. I felt like a fish out of water. Okay? Now, if I had to alter my appearance to go to my job that I'm at for 6 months to something I'm uncomfortable with, like my physical appearance, one thing to put on a suit, but to actually shave and alter myself in a way that I felt uncomfortable with, that would be difficult. When I was in high school, my baseball coach, RIP Coach Schenkel, he's a Yankee fan, but he was also one of these like disciplined military guy. He wouldn't let us shave, and he used to always, what's that on your face? When we had a little stubble or whatever. So I've been there, and we all wanted to grow beards, and when we all got to college, everybody except me, who couldn't grow one, grew beards. We rebelled a little bit, and you see the same thing now when somebody leaves the Yankees. They grow a beard. Gleyber Torres, Aroldis Chapman, all these guys grow beards when they leave the Yankees. Miguel Andujar, I think even Greg Bird grew a beard. Robinson Cano. I'm an advocate of people feeling comfortable in their own skin. And if that means we have to push aside something that we've done for the last 40 years, whatever. I don't think it's going to change too much, but if you can reduce the amount of discomfort on the team by 1%, might help you win a ball game here or there. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me tonight. I will be back. We're going to have a post-game show definitely on Saturday. I might do one tomorrow. I have a meeting in the afternoon, but it might get moved. If it gets moved, I'm going to do a post-game show. But otherwise, Yankees are on tomorrow, so catch that. Don't count on seeing Big G. We might not see him this year. That's kind of what I'm looking at right now. I don't want to speculate, but I feel like this injury could be worse than they're letting on. He said it was extremely painful, and he's a tough guy. He's a big dude. So something's going on in there. And he might just be too big and strong to have a long career. That's how we roll. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you next time. Hey, while I've got you here, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Pinstripe Territory is the official Yankees podcast of the Foul Territory Network. We are home to the #1 most watched MLB postgame show on YouTube since 2021. We're here after every Yankees game and for reactions to all the best news and rumors during the offseason. Be a part of the show by calling into the voicemail 718-899-1068. Try to keep it clean for me. And if you ever miss us on YouTube, be sure and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Go ahead and rate us 5 stars. It'll help other people find the show. Thanks for watching. See ya.